Lo bueno. Hi, Robert. Can you hear me now? You can hear me now? I'll mute again, okay? Hello, are you trying to unmute? Do you receive? There you go.
Unmute myself. Hello, everybody. How are you? Hello, Tony. Hello, Robert. How you guys doing? Tony, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. I want to see if I can hear you. Hello, Michael K. How are you? Love that background. No, I can't hear you. Maybe, can you try unmuting yourself? to see if I want to make sure that you guys are able to unmute yourself. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Michael. I think you can talk now.
Oh, yeah, you unmuted me. Thank you, Denise.
Yes.
It wouldn't let me do it myself. What I was saying is that, you know, with COVID, we all feel a little bit like we're in prison. So I thought it was appropriate to have.
That is correct.
So the reason why everyone is joining us mute is because we don't want to start our conversation and other people to join and be and start talking. So it's easier if everyone starts mute, and then obviously we'll have a Q&A after, and everyone will be able to talk.
But thank you very much for joining, everybody. Really appreciate it. And we're gonna have a lot more people joining in. We're expecting probably anywhere between 40 and 50 people to join today. It's gonna be a fun session. We're going to try a little bit of a new format today. We have a lot to talk about Viking, and we appreciate you all joining. And there is Darren Dolan, the start of the day. Look at him. Oh my God. Hold on one second. We're going to unmute you, Darren.
There you go.
There we go.
That's it. How you doing, my friend?
Well, thank you. How about yourselves?
We're doing great. I'm doing great. How do you like my background?
I'm just going to say that's looking rather familiar. More professional. But yeah, here we are. So wonderful.
Good. For those that haven't met Denise yet, Denise is our new marketing manager. And she's been with us for a few weeks and doing a great job. I think she was hiding under her desk today after we saw a type on one of the emails that went out today, but that's okay. I found her. But it's okay. I love it when people join with their cameras. It's you know, we can see everybody's faces. Much more fun. Hello, Jake. Hello, David Newland, David Storby, Madeline, Alan, John Randall. A lot of familiar names. Many names I've seen across our system making bookings with Luxury Cruise Connection. So super happy to see you guys joining. Darren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Just doing what we're doing, you know, the new normal. Standing in front of the background and just continuing to, you know, spread the word and do the job while being isolated, pretty much like everybody. You know, it's taking advantage of the opportunities we have. So,
yeah. Although it feels like we're starting to get back to normal, right? I mean, at least
the lights are getting lighter. I think each and every day we look at something, you know, happening internationally that gives us more hope and gives us more, you know, optimism. I think that's definitely something that a word that's, you know, beginning to grow a lot more than it would have looked like and what it would have felt like 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. At least on our end, we are feeling demand kind of ramping up very, very quickly. We're seeing every day more and more interest from our client base asking us for cruises and reservations. There's still obviously lots of people that have a lot of questions and that have a lot of uncertainty, which is absolutely normal. But
only natural.
But
absolutely, I would too.
You know, as a travel company, you know, we look at you know what to expect moving forward. Of course, you know, all companies in the travel industry have been hit, and the travel agency community has not been, you know, any different. And we, you know, we're very thankful for the support that we're getting from our cruise lines, and at the same time, we have to be very thoughtful of how to manage the future months. Thankfully we're extremely solid in terms of financially. So like we're very much set up to survive many more months. But we certainly wish for this to, for ships to start sailing very quickly, because that's going to be the day we're going to start
sooner than better. Absolutely. I think I put ourselves in the same position as you are, as a company. And yes, we're fine at the moment, but we want to get back to what we do, and I think that's we're all biting at the chomp for that. And it's just not possible right now. But again, we too are just definitely starting to see now an uptick in the interest for 2021, 2022, and we'll speak a little about it on the presentation as well. When we start opening up product for 2023 because of the demand for 2022 on some things, from not being able to sail to seeing excitement through 2023, it's just mind blowing. So we had our team call on Monday, and again, things are looking better.
Good. That's really good to hear. And I wanna use this opportunity to start welcoming everybody as everybody starts joining. We are obviously super grateful and thankful for you all joining our meeting today. Love to see your faces, and everybody, as you're joining in, you're all muted, but we will open up mics very soon. We're going to try an interesting format today. We've done some of these Zoom calls before very successfully, and the feedback that we've been getting from our Zoom calls previously has been great. And we realized that one of the things that most of our attendees like the most is to have good enough time and opportunity to share and ask live questions. But at the same time, I would love to give Darren an opportunity to kind of lead the conversation, to talk about some very exciting things that Viking is doing and that has been doing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to probably wait until 5:03, 5:04 to get it started, and we're going to have Darren kind of jumpstart the conversation with just a couple of very light slides, images, so that we can kind of see what's really happening with Viking, and take it from there. And then we're going to open up the mics very quickly so we can have an opportunity to ask a lot of questions, because I'm sure there are plenty. I will apologize in advance because there is just some information that we don't have and that Darren doesn't have, but we will do our very best to share with you as much information as we can and as much as we have, so that we can hopefully answer all of your questions. And I want to welcome all of our Luxury Cruise Connections team members that are also joining the team. You will recognize our Luxury Cruise Connections members because all of us have for example, Carlos Etery at Luxury Cruise Connections. If you hover over our video images, you will see. And that way you'll recognize. And we have, obviously, I introduced Denise. Denise is our marketing manager. So, and then we have Laura Bowman. She's right here. Everybody's working from home. We have JC with the San Francisco background. And let's see, who else do we have from the Luxury Cruise Connections team? That's what we have so far. And I know that everybody else is going to be joining very, very soon. They're probably taking care of clients on the other line. And I want to welcome everybody that has joined. There are already 35 names in this list, so it would take me forever to welcome individually all of you. But certainly there are many faces and many names that I very much recognize because you've been loyal clients of Luxury Cruise Connections for a long time. You're probably going to get messages from our team members in the chat welcoming those that know each other. And please feel free to comment, ask questions, and say whatever you feel on the chat box of the forum. We already received some questions via email, some questions that I know you guys want us to ask, and we'll be happy to do so. We saved them so that we can ask them at the end. Questions that you might, that you might have during the presentation. And if you don't want to interrupt the presentation, feel free to type in the chat box and we will get to all of them one by one. And we will also open up the mics so that you guys can, ask the questions live and hopefully get your answers directly from Darren or from me, or from anyone from our team for that matter. Let's see, it's 5:02. And I know we have a few more people joining. I'm gonna wait just one more minute and then we'll get started. I love some of your backgrounds, guys. And I'm very impressed. Let's see, Michael, who's that? What's that with that cat? Is that your cat? Amazing. And okay, and Mercedes is sharing her screen. Okay, that's a great Facebook picture. Mercedes. We absolutely would love to learn more about your Facebook story, but we should probably give Darren the screen so that he can take over. You agree? Let's see if can you control that, Denise?
Sure. Let me try to remove it. Screen.
Let's see. Just 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
The other share screen has to be closed.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Okay. Now, Darren, why don't you go ahead and share your screen? Mm-hmm. There you go.
That should be up.
And it is.
Yep. Excellent.
All right. So I think we can go ahead and get started. I mean, let me do a formal introduction now. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our virtual cruise night here with Darren Dolan from Viking Cruises. Used to be called Viking River Cruises at one point, but now it's a little bit more than that. So I'm going to, I'll let Darren take the lead in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to formally welcome everybody that is attending our forum today. We have over 43 participants so far, and I'm sure a few more are going to join in within the next couple of minutes. We are extremely happy and thankful for all of you joining today, because we definitely set this time apart so that we can share with you guys everything that is happening in the travel industry, in the cruise industry in general, everything that is happening with us, and with each one of the cruise lines that we're featuring on our virtual cruise nights. Within this virtual forum, you're going to see many of our Luxury Cruise Connections team members. As I was saying before, for those that joined recently, you can recognize our Luxury Cruise Connections team members because they have their name at Luxury Cruise Connections in their screen. So they're going to start joining within the next couple of minutes. We already have a couple of us here. And in the meantime, obviously we have Darren Dolan. And Darren, why don't you do your own introduction? What's your title? What do you do? And why are you so important?
Get the difficult questions to start with, huh? Thank you so much, Carlos, and everybody, all our great friends at Luxury Cruise Connections, and everybody on the presentation. Thank you for all taking the time and obviously showing the interest in joining us this evening or this afternoon, wherever you in the country you may be. We just got the evening time here. As Carlos alluded to, I am Darren Dolan. I am a director of business development for Viking. I've been with the company going on 10 years. So you could well imagine how much fun I've had in those 10 years, how much change I've seen happen in the company in those 10 years, and ever-changing. Just to Carlos's point there, where he introduced me for Viking Cruises, that's not necessarily true anymore, because we've even moved on from there. So, Viking River Cruises when I started, then introduction of Viking Oceans made it Viking Cruises. And today we simply talk about Viking. Simple, just Viking. And that's for branding purposes and branding messages. So prior to being with Viking, I was with another ocean cruise line, luxury cruise line, for 9 years prior to that. So I've spent pretty much the last 20 years in the cruise industry. and got to travel a lot of places, got to enjoy a lot of experiences, and more importantly, got to work with our amazing travel partners, of which Carlos and obviously everybody at Luxury Cruise Connections are. Without our wonderful travel partners, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And so it's a great testament to the folks at Luxury Cruise Connections at their affiliation with the fantastic consortia of Virtuoso, that has really brought the strength of the partnership together. And it's something that we commit to. It's something we invest heavily in. And it's something I say on my behalf is, you know, if there is absolutely no benefit whatsoever in making your reservations direct through a cruise line. You're getting nothing. There's no specialty pricing, there's no specialty amenities. What you're actually losing out on are actually the professionalism and the amenities and such that you know, these fine folks at Luxury Cruise Connections and being members of Virtuoso allow them to provide to you. So just in case you're on the call as a direct booker, I say to you now, there is no benefit whatsoever. So sometimes people get a little confused. Don't you work for Viking? Yes, we do. Yes, I do, at least. So, yeah, I think that's a little bit of background on myself, Carlos. So, I think we're going to take the lead now, and I'm just going to bring up a few slides as Carlos alluded to. You know. Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I needed Denise to unmute me. Yeah, Darren, thank you very, very much for that introduction. You know, we are extremely grateful about this partnership, as I was explained before. You know, we at Luxury Cruise Connections, you know, we've been doing business for many, many years, but we wouldn't be where we are and as successful as we are as a travel company if it wasn't because of the partnership that we have with cruise lines like you. You know, we, as a luxury cruise agency, we strive for not only making sure that what we provide as a service is perfect, and that we provide as a service is you know, obviously we provide value to our clients, and that we provide excellence in service and detail oriented. But most importantly, we want to make sure that, you know, we're there for our clients from the beginning of the booking experience to the moment they come back. And so when we have partners like you that can deliver perfection, or that can deliver a very amazing experience, right, it makes us look good, right? So in front of all of our clients here, I want to thank you for doing everything that you do, and for being so responsible with taking care of our clients the way you do, because, you know, that's the only way that we can shine as a travel company the same, on that same token. So thank you very, very much.
That's why they call it a partnership.
Go ahead, my friend, take it away.
Yes, so I do have a few slides to share, and Carlos did that. It's really difficult for me at Viking with so many different experiences and so many things happening, you know, to try to condense things. Plus, as my wife says, I like to talk a lot as well. So I really do challenge myself when it comes into condensing information. But so I won't linger too long on the slides of information, just really give you the highlights and the feel. And I don't really have a feel of on the presentation of how many of with us today have actually sailed with us, how many are about to sail with us, but I do hope that at least everybody on the presentation that will initially be cruising with us. So a little bit of background about us. You know, as I mentioned, I've been with the company going on 10 years. The company itself has been around for now 22 years, since its origins in Russia. We then started cruising primarily in Europe and marketing to the European passengers and travelers, until we saw the opportunity, our wonderful leadership of our fantastic chairman, Mr. Torsten Hagen, who's been with us since day one, of course. He saw the light and saw the future that river cruising would become in North America, in USA and Canada. So around about the same time I was joining the company, he saw the future and the investment of becoming primarily a US company, a North American hosted company, at least to that extent. So with the announcement of the brand new Viking Longships in 2012, we actually moved away from the European market, no longer marketing and selling to the Germans and to the French and such, focusing on the North American English speaking guests that I'm assuming that most of us are on the call this afternoon. and really to pinpoint ourselves and to identify ourselves as who we are. It's very, you know, it's with so many different brands out there and so many different cruise lines, we all endear to you know, give our own identity and to do things differently. And one thing about us is, about Viking, is that we, you know, we're not everything to everybody. We do the things we do in the way we do it. For those who've cruised with us, absolutely, for the most part, love it, enjoy it, and come back, because we are doing the right things at the right time. And there are, for those some folks, that we may be not providing an experience or doing things in a way that maybe is not to your liking. And that's all good and fine, because we understand there's everything for everybody out there too. You know, we always talk about this wonderful thinking person's cruise, traveling for meaningful experiences. And I think that right there, right now, is a very important thing to be saying in a nutshell, whereby we would love to be cruising right now currently. Obviously, that's what we do as a business. We would love to be able to rush to get folks over to Europe to experience river cruising or ocean cruising for that matter. But at this moment in time, even if the borders were open, can we provide that meaningful experience? Can we provide that Viking experience? Folks are sailing with us to really, you know, to broaden their horizons, to continue that continuation of education, to immerse yourselves culturally, to enjoy the people of the places we visit, to enjoy the foods and the you know, the ceremonies of the places that we visit. This is why we're traveling with Viking, and this is why folks love to come back to us, because whereby they may have enjoyed their last experience, their next experience is going to be totally different, because it's a different destination, it's a different cultural experience. While the setting and the service and the ships might all be the same, it's where we're going to. It's all about the destination and the discovery of those destinations that we get to enjoy. And there are things that we are not, as I alluded to at the beginning. You know, we don't have our blinkers on. We know who our guest is. And when we came up with this slide, I thought it quite humorous, because in a very polite way, we say no to everything, but not really saying no to everything. These no's, what they're actually doing is setting the expectation. It's setting the scene. It's telling you what you will actually not be experiencing at the same time what you will be experiencing. We really don't have time to go over all of these today, but I think two very important matters and two topics are included in here, particularly as we expand out to ocean cruising and other bodies of water besides just regular river cruising. Is our ships do not have casinos on board. So immediately, if you are that guest who likes to travel and you know, the necessity to have a casino when you do cruise, you know immediately that Viking is not the brand. And we get that, we understand that, and we know that there's another brand for you. You know, we see that casinos take up space, cost money to operate, but more importantly, casinos can only be open when we're in foreign waters. And again, going back to the emphasis of being a destination-rich experience, we maximize the length of time we spend in port, minimize days at sea. So that's just one of the main elements. And number two, when we launched Viking Ocean Cruising in 2015, we did so with a purpose that we will provide an adult-only experience. Grouping like-minded folks together is probably been one of the main successes that we've seen over the years. So with the moment we said we were going to provide an adult-only experience on ocean cruising, it only made sense to ensure that the Viking brand and the Viking message was the same throughout all the different bodies of water. So we set forth that 18 would be the minimum age for anybody to cruise on Viking going forward. So again, you know immediately you're going to set sail on a cruise with Viking, regardless of where you are in the world, but you will be surrounded by adults and not children under the age of 18. So I always just like to highlight those two elements. Really, you know, those they kind of do set us apart from many of the other lines. One of the emails that I received today was a question of why don't we go all inclusive as some of the other cruise lines have, and you know we've toyed with this idea of over a few years. And really what we like to say, we go to market and we provide you the opportunity. We kind of brand ourselves as that value proposition when it comes to river cruising and cruising in general now these days. And to say that we will remain highly inclusive with just a few more elements for you to choose whether you'd like to partake in those experiences or those add-ons as you would you yourself. So when we start looking at the high inclusivity, we are including a daily shore excursion in every port of call that we visit. And again, I'm speaking Viking in general in all aspects. Obviously, all the onboard meals will be included. And if we are experiencing anything where there is optional dining, specialty dining venues and opportunities, they too are all included in the Viking pricing. And the inclusion of beer, wine, sodas with all your meals, specialty coffees and teas 24 hours a day, bottled water, free Wi-Fi throughout all our experiences as well in room experience. And another wonderful thing is we don't have to do that you maybe have an experience with other cruise lines is when you see a pricing and you see something in a brochure on a flyer or online, wherever it would be, there's no need then to scroll down to the bottom of that page with your magnifying glass to see how many more hundreds of dollars we're adding to the cruise fare. They are built into the cruise fare. You would have also noticed or seen, or maybe you'll like Barcom, our amazing airfare opportunities that we provide. You know, we flew almost 300,000 passengers last year. 300,000 passengers a year is more than any other cruise line in the world is flying. What does this mean? It allows us to have these really rich, most wonderful contracts with the major carriers and their affiliates, and this allows them to provide really heavily discounted air for our cruises, and in many cases actually free air. So there's always something to look out for there. 3 elements that we would not be including in the pricing. I alluded to the fact that we would incorporate a complimentary shore excursion in every port of call, which we do, but then we also have what we call our optional tours. Optional tours are specialty tours whereby we don't anticipate everybody on board being of interest in taking part in those tours, and they come with an additional cost, and those vary depending on what that experience will be. But you can still cruise with us for whatever duration and not pay a single penny for tours, as you will be including one in each and every port. Number 2, I touched on the fact beer, wine, soda is included with every meal. I like to say every meal because breakfast we can have bubbles, but not alcoholic beverages. We look at the actual use and the taking of alcoholic beverages throughout our fleet, and we you know, in many cases our guests aren't drinkers. You know, there's opportunities in many cases don't allow the opportunity much time for alcoholic beverage purchasing, consumption rather. So the option was made to rather not include the alcoholic beverages in the pricing, but provide an opportunity for you to purchase what we call the Silver Spirits package. And the Silver Spirits package, again, fleet-wide, at the value of $20 per person per day. If you so wish to enjoy those cocktails on a daily basis, you merely have to purchase the Silver Spirits package at $20 per person per day. Again, we honestly believe great value to be had there for those who do like to enjoy a cocktail or two. And then number 3, as I touched on there as well. Sorry, that's already those are the 3 elements. So it would be additional shore excursions. It will be the alcoholic beverages, and
I want to Darren, I want to add real quick there that most of you that have already made a Viking booking with us or any booking with us probably remember that we are always adding onboard credit, or if not, the Silver Spirits package. So even though Viking might have it as an additional cost, you usually can cover that with either the onboard credit that we're adding, or if we're just purchasing that for you. Okay, so keep that in mind. Most
our guests can take advantage of shipboard credits when you know, when partners of yourself that call us to provide that. It's a great way to put forth to that, and also the gratuities as well.
That is correct. And Darren, I want to real quick, super short pause.
Yep.
We're getting questions from our different attendees. As you know, you're all muted right now, but as we wrap up Darren's conversation or Darren's presentation, we're going to be unmuting people as you raise your hands or let us know in the chat so that you can participate. Obviously, using your mic, or otherwise, please add your questions to the chat box, and we will get to them as soon as we are finished with the Darren's presentation. Okay.
We did.
Go ahead, continue. Darren.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. So I'm just going to just touch on the topics briefly of the different experiences that we do provide. Again, not going into too much detail. The wonderful folks at Luxury Cruise Connections can definitely give you more insight into these experiences. Again, we just want to just do a generalization this evening. These are the Viking Longships that joined our fleet in 2012. Hard to believe. They revolutionized river cruising. As I mentioned, river cruising was really a European format of vacationing until we came to the United States and made ourselves a household name. Many of you, I'm assuming most of you on the presentation today, either you receive our emails, our mailings, that used to hit your mailboxes daily, and then also our TV advertising commercials. But it was actually a little show in our partnership. Again, there's that word, partnership, sponsorship of Masterpiece Theatre and the show Downton Abbey. 26 million viewers would watch that show on a Sunday. And that really did bring forth the attention to what that river cruise experience would be, just with that little 30-second clip. And on that 30-second clip, you would see the Viking Longships here. When I started with the company, we had 11 ships in our fleet. At last count, I believe we had 72 river ships in our fleet. And the majority of them are made up of the Viking Longships that you see pictured here. These are the ships that you're going to be cruising on in Europe. There are a couple of different models along the way where we've taken the same design, but we make just a little design feature changes to them based on the rivers. I'm talking about Portugal. I'm talking about northern France. I'm talking about on the Elbe River. But overall, if you're going to be cruising with Viking in Europe, these are the vessels that you're cruising upon. The only thing that's changing is the name of the ship on the bow. And that's
which is something that I particularly like about Viking, right? Which is, the consistency of the product across their fleet is very unique in the travel industry. And for those that have traveled quite a bit in cruise lines, and cruises, in different cruise lines, you probably would agree with me that even cruise lines that only do ocean or cruise lines that only do river might even have 5 or 6 variations of the same, of their ships throughout their entire fleet. One of the interesting, things about Viking is that no matter what you're sailing, whether it is, ocean or river, and we're going to go a little bit more into that later, but all the ships are basically, I'm not going to say identical, but you know what to expect. They're basically the same. With, like Darren said, slight variations depending on when they're sailing, but you know what to expect. You're not, you're not going to be all of a sudden looking at a ship that looks very different to your previous experience. Every time you go on Viking, you know exactly what to expect, which is very, very important to highlight here.
And purposely done. And thank you, Carlos. Yeah, we do that on purpose. We want our folks to feel at home when they come sail with us. And as we see an increase in repeat guests on river, on ocean, when you step on board, you feel at home already. You know exactly where everything is, where it's located, the name of that location, and what's going to change for you is the destination and the place, obviously, and the location which we are sailing. So very done purposely that we did that in the very beginning. I told Carlos I just wanted to highlight 3 of our main itineraries. If you are on the presentation today and you are interested in looking and booking a future river cruise, we like to say these are 3 of the great starters, 3 of our most popular itineraries for sure, and it also gives you opportunity to look at different lengths of cruise. What we're looking at right here is an 8-day. We have quite a few series of 8-day itineraries for you to choose from. 8-day cruises are ideal for the first-time guests, ideal for those maybe with time constraint, and they are great entry-level opportunities as well in river cruising. I love the Rhine getaway, 8 days. But then look how many different ports of call we are making, how many different countries that we are visiting as we go through those magnificent countries of Switzerland, France, Germany, and then finally into the Netherlands. And the ports of call are a mix of small, little cute towns, if you with historic background, to major cities such as Cologne in this particular example, an overnight experience when we're in Rudesheim and we do a late night, very late night, actually early next morning departure. So again, maximizing the length of time we spend in port, but at the same time allowing us to enjoy scenic sailing along the way. In all our itineraries, we're going to be enjoying scenic sailing as well. But river cruising, in the essence, is the majority of the time is spent off the ship, again, enjoying those cultural activities and the cultural immersion, the tours, and really coming back with a, you know, with you've actually achieved something, you've learned something, you've experienced something other than just enjoying the scenery as we sail along. The Rhine getaway, Basel to Amsterdam or Amsterdam to Basel, great 8-day itinerary. And so too, probably the most renowned of the rivers in river cruising, that being the Danube. And I've brought up an example here of our most popular Danube cruise, and that is the romantic Danube, Budapest. When we say Danube, we say Budapest. And when we say Budapest, we say at the very least an overnight. At the very least, you'll enjoy Budapest as an overnight. And then we'd sail through the country of Hungary, Austria, and then again into Germany. So Budapest to Regensburg or Regensburg to Budapest. A great opportunity again for late night, overnight experiences and scenic sailing along the way. But our flagship itinerary, our #1 most popular cruise that we host in river cruising, where we have the most ships and the most guests and the best value, and in many cases, free air. You will see on many occasions, free air will be offered here on our Grand European cruise. And the Grand European cruise is ideally length. It's 15 days. So, you know, for argument's sake, we are looking then at a 2-week experience. It's kind of a combination of the northern portion of the Rhine getaway that we just looked at as we sail from Amsterdam down to Koblenz. And then it's a combination then of the Rhine of the romantic Danube that we just alluded to as well, Budapest and Nuremberg, but then with the addition then of the Main and the Main-Danube Canal. So if you are looking to cruise, if you ask one of the wonderful advisors, I want to take a 2-week river cruise in Europe, what do you suggest? The answer probably 9 times out of 10 would be the Grand European. On the heels of the success of river cruising and making ourselves a household name, our guests had been asking us for years, when are you going to ocean cruise? When are you going to ocean cruise? Please come to ocean cruising. So we listened. We got a lot of feedback from our past guests. Maybe some of you are on the presentation today. And in 2015, we were very, very privileged and honored to launch the first of our Viking ocean vessels, the Viking Star. And by the end of the first year of service, so May of 2015, in August of 2016, Travel, Leisure, and other famed publications started coming up with their awards. It was amazing to see what we had achieved within such a short period of time. Many of the other cruise lines said beginner's luck. I think we proved them wrong because we've continued to win these awards and accolades on a repeated basis year in and year out now since our inaugural season of 2015 all the way up to 2019. And at the same time, the fleet has grown itself as well. So as we started obviously with 1 ship, our ocean fleet is now up to 7 vessels, and with plans to build at least another 3 more. And speaking of the ships again, just as we've done with the river ships, we were having identical models, keeping that same Scandinavian contemporary design, keeping a lot of the names that we've become familiar with on the river ships over to the ocean ships, but obviously on a larger basis. Vessels that carried 930 guests, designed for 930 guests. So under that 1,000, again, I've had the honor and privilege to have sailed on the vessels on several occasions when we have been full. and at no time do you feel that you're crowded or you feel you're pushed into an area. I have always found places of solace and just, little quiet corners to read my book and to have time to myself and place to myself. That's the sheer design of the vessel as well. So we've been so happy with there's hardly anything we had to do to the vessels from their initial launch, which is quite rare. And again, to Carlos's point, it allows us then to use same ships throughout the world, wherever we are. And for our repeat guests, them stepping on board a vessel that they are most familiar with, and no need to start rediscovering. And when we say we're selling a Viking Ocean vessel, it's just the name that varies again. I just wanted to highlight a couple of the most popular itineraries as well. Something that stands out about these next 3 itineraries I'm sharing with you are all 2-week itineraries, again, 15 days, 13 days. We do have 8-day itineraries available too, but I just wanted to highlight these 3 as our flagships. Bergen, Norway, the birthplace of our wonderful chairman, Mr. Hagen. We are pretty much a Scandinavian themed, Norwegian themed cruise line. So it's only fitting that all our Scandinavian cruisers and fjord cruisers and such all set sail out of Bergen in Norway. The Viking homelands, what an amazing way to see the Baltics. 15 days Bergen to Stockholm or Stockholm to Bergen. Whenever you see a white circle on a Viking itinerary, that's indicating that that will be an overnight on the ship. So many of our ocean itineraries you'll see actually incorporate overnights on many of the embarkation and debarkation ports. Not all of them, but in many cases. So in this particular case, we're looking at overnighting in Bergen, overnighting in Stockholm, and along the way, we spend 2 entire days in St. Petersburg, Russia, with an overnight there too. What's amazing about this 15-day itinerary of the Baltics, this really emphasizes how destination rich our itineraries are, is we will only be having 1 day at sea on this entire itinerary. As we sail between Dansk and Tallinn in Estonia, that is the only day we have full at sea. Other than that, we'll be averaging approximately around about 12 and a half hours a day in port, maximizing that length of time. And we have a very similar experience then when we come to the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean Odyssey, sailing from Barcelona to Venice, or again from Venice to Barcelona. All those iconic ports of call, some of the smaller ports of call when we start looking at Monte Carlo, for instance. And again, another example of embarkation and debarkation being overnights on the vessel as well. Magnificent, taking the country of Spain, the French Rivieras, the Italian Rivieras, up the Adriatic, the Dubrovnik split, and then into Venice as well. So magnificent 2-week Mediterranean experience there. But if it's far-flung places you're looking for, another wonderful opportunity to go down and enjoy the summer months when it's winter up here in North America is cruising down in Australia and New Zealand, combining both of these magnificent countries into another 2-week experience. Obviously not worthwhile going down there for much shorter. Another opportunity where we're going to be enjoying the opportunity to enjoy an entire day and overnight in Auckland, New Zealand, as well then as repeating that in Sydney, and then several days at sea as we do cross the Tasman Sea, there from the southern island of New Zealand over to Tasmania, to Hobart. So again, just giving you another example of, with the fleet of 7 ships that we do have, the world is our oyster, and we are able to bring itineraries to so many further ports of call now with the growth of the fleet. Our world cruise most definitely opened up many of these ports of call. Had the situation not occurred, this terrible COVID occurred, we were actually on track to break a Guinness Book of Record for the world's longest world cruise with most ports of call, and that would have been 245 days. We were on track for that, but unfortunately that came upon us. But each and every year we do offer a world cruise, which normally varies around about 140 days.
As of right now, 2022 is the only year that we don't have a world cruise yet, right?
This is correct. And the reason for that is the following slides, Carlos. But, on a normal circumstance. Now, I have heard a whisper that may be changing, that we might be coming up with something for late 21 again into 2022. Nothing confirmed yet, but there are rumblings that we may actually be including a world cruise.
Wow,
So
that would be incredible news, because there are so many people that are looking forward to that we're looking forward to that world cruise for 2022, and it didn't happen. So
yes.
hopefully that'll be the case. Okay, that's great.
Normally when we hear rumblings, they normally do come to fruition. Obviously, I'll keep you posted on that in the moment we hear anything. I think JC's on the call. I know he's desperately waiting to hear from me about a world cruise. But yeah, so as again, normally that would be the case for us. But 2022 is going to be quite an exciting, busy year for Viking. Again, following on the success of River and then Ocean, one of the most popular formats of travel and cruise these days, which has become more and more popular over the last couple of years, particularly, is expedition cruising, and particularly getting the opportunity to add to those ports of call. There's, as we like to say, there's where would you like to go? And in many cases, we've sailed the Med, we've done the Baltics, where next? So where next? It was only natural that Viking will then introduce, end of October last year, we announced the fact that we will be joining some of the other cruise lines in providing expedition cruising. Immediately, when we look at this image here, one of the two ships, which will be the Octantis or the Polaris, currently under construction as we speak. Custom built, obviously, icebreaker class vessels. You see, again, the similarities to the Viking Ocean ship that we just looked at. Again, the coloring, the materials, the feel, the design. We've kept the same architects. They kept the same designers that started with us with our river ships to our ocean ships. They're following us on here onto the expedition ships as well. So again, we get that same Viking feel, but within expedition ships that are beyond anything that's out there right now. The entire emphasis of this experience is not just to go out and see beautiful sights, scenes and sights and have these great experiences, but the ships themselves are actually floating laboratories. Of the 380 passengers that we'll have on board, we will have up to 42 scientists and researchers from our partnerships with several of the world's leading climatological, geographical, science museums, science organizations worldwide. So we're not just going to be cruising, we're going to be actually having hands-on experiences in these laboratories that we have on board, in the classes that we host on board, with the most amazing top of the line specialists and scientists in these fields traveling with us. We cannot be more excited, and the excitement has definitely been palpable by looking at the reservations and how popular the demand has been for the expedition cruising. And again, I can't linger too long on this, but I just want to bring this to your attention. It's probably one of my most favorite public areas on the expedition vessels. It's the Hangar. Yes, is sailing on zodiacs and ribs and kayaks and such, and submersibles part of expedition cruising normally. Yes, it is. But embarking upon those vessels is going to be quite unique with cruising with Viking. For those who maybe have sailed in these areas, in these regions, or taking part in expedition cruise, trying to board these little vessels sometimes can be rather daunting in choppy seas and such. We've eliminated that fear factor and that uncomfortable experience, whereby you actually going to be embarking and boarding these vessels within the body of the ship itself on a firm platform, and then basically rolling the vessels out to the aft of the ship, and then on your way to partake in the water activities. So
it is very, very unique. I think Viking is the only cruise line and the only ship that has this design to be able to board on those zodiacs, on these expeditions. It is a very common question for many of our clients whenever they are going on an expedition cruise. They want to know, how complicated it is to get on those Zodiacs. And this is like basically getting on a Disney ride, right?
I use the same experience. It does look like you're lining up for that. When you look at the lines and the gates, it looks just like that, Carlos. You're correct. Yep, it's something we have, say always looking outside the box, and that's something we've done from the get-go, revolutionizing every time we've gone about. So in the hangar, that's where the laboratory will be. That's where the photography classes will be, the geography classes, the historians on board, the lecturers, and the lecture series. It really is going to be phenomenal. And again, quite a few different itineraries to be choosing from the Antarctic up to the Arctic. Again, these expedition itineraries, for the most part, are just regimented from the beginnings, as we say, flying into Buenos Aires and then down to Ushuaia, and then we would sail across Drake's Passage, and then we leave the next 7 days. We leave them pretty much open, and we let nature rule where we go. When's the best time going to be for viewing? When's the best time to going to be actually getting off the ship and doing group hikes and walks on land to such? So we leave that rather open and then hopefully we maximize the amount of ports of call that we do make along the way. So, and the same will be in the Antarctic as it will be then for the Arctic. Excuse me, sailing out of the port of Tromsø up in the fjords of Norway, sailing up north all the way to Svalbard. And again, we leave that open itinerary from the moment we enter into the area, into the region, allowing us to, again, make those ports of call when weather best allows and when viewing will be best, and then making one of those days where we're going to make that dive to see how far north we can go up to the Arctic Circle there as well. But the ships were designed differently to any other expedition vessel out there. What are we going to do in the off-season when we're not operating them? We built them in such a manner that we could actually bring them domestically into North America and have them sailing from New York to Toronto by sheer width of the vessels, allowing us to sail through the ship canals and through the shipping locks that bring us all the way through the seaway into the Great Lakes. So we have 5 itineraries available, 2 of which are pretty much repositioning cruises from New York to Toronto, then into Michigan as well. And then we're going to have a series of 8-day itineraries, which are going to take us from Milwaukee up to Thunder Bay in Ontario, Canada, and then vice versa as well. So again, what we're seeing here, we will continue to be kind of expedition research vessels for sure. We were going to continue with everything we're doing on board. There are going to be some restrictions where we can use some of the inflatables and such like that based on regulation, but still we're going to still enjoy as much as we possibly can the expedition experience while sailing domestically here in the US and the state of Ontario in Canada. So again, launching in 2022, a little bit different. Then also in 2022, as I mentioned, I've probably been asked since last 7 years, when's Viking coming to North America? When's Viking going to sail the Mississippi? And I've probably been telling little white lies for 7 of those years. Next year, I'm sure. Yeah, we're working on it. Next year.
Amazing.
Finally, the day. Oh my goodness. I see people at events and say, you're the guy who told us 3 years ago the Mississippi was coming. I said, yes, I am that guy. I'm still here and it's still coming. It's so great to be able to say, yes, finally we are coming. And of all the times to make that announcement, talk about bad timing, but I guess it's good timing, is right smack bang in April. Carlos, you would have been with us in New Orleans for the launch event, which unfortunately had to go by because of the situation, but still it didn't stop us from making an online launch and finally letting the world know that Viking is coming to North America and that we are going to be cruising on the Mississippi. And this too, starting in 2022, the Viking Mississippi will be joining our fleet. Again, there's a few obstacles that we've had to overcome over the last few years. We are coming to the Mississippi. We are going to Vikingize it. That's always a word we like to use. We're going to freshen things up. We're going to change the way experiences are had. We're going to be investing along the Mississippi River itself, just as we've invested in many of the ports in Europe. The ship itself obviously has to be US built. Same architect, same design. You can see from the lower deck there. If you look at that lower deck in the first deck, just visually looking at that, and you're familiar with the Viking Longships in Europe that we looked at a little bit further back, you will identify immediately, look, I can see the design features of the Viking Longship. Absolutely you can, because that's pretty much modeled on that. But if we look then above that, where you see the darkened windows, these were the accommodation decks for the next 4 decks. You said, but wow, this looks just like a Viking ocean ship. And yes, it most definitely does, because that was the intent. People always ask me, said, what's your ship going to look like? What kind of ship are you bringing to North America? Are you bringing your river ships over, your ocean ships? I kind of always said, think of it as a love story. When Viking river ship in Europe meets a Viking ocean ship, they fall in love, they get married, they have a baby. The baby is the Viking Mississippi, because she just definitely is a mix of both. So again, 364 guests on board. So just double that of our European vessels. And itinerary-wise, it's the seasons, it's the weather conditions that are going to govern where we cruise at what time of the year. But we are coming to market with 4 different itineraries. 3 of those will be 8-day experiences. And this little map sets it out quite nicely for us, really. Living here in South Florida, and I compare our weather conditions and humidity to that of which Louisiana and Mississippi get to endure during the months of June, July, and August. Probably not the best time to be having as a home port in those regions. So we will be sailing the southern stretches of the Mississippi during the colder months. So we look at the first itinerary, that's the Southern Celebration. That's December and January. We're going to be cruising that New Orleans round trip, just entering into predominantly Louisiana, and then just entering up into Vicksburg there during the months of December and January, again to enjoy the holidays and celebration of the holidays. Then expanding a little bit further than that, but again, sticking to the cooler months, January to mid-June, and then mid-October to November, we're going to be enjoying the heart of the Delta. That's going to be Memphis to New Orleans, or New Orleans to Memphis, for that 8-day itinerary. Then when the wonderful, beautiful, cool, crisp summer months come to the northern reaches of the Mississippi, we're going to do a transition cruise. This is going to be America's Great River. We were a little skeptical about America's Great River. It's kind of, as you could see, it's a transition cruise, a repositioning cruise, as you would. We weren't too sure how popular it would be. How many folks wanted to sail on 12 days on the, 15 days on the Mississippi. So when we launched the sales of this back in April, first week of April, within 48 hours, the inaugural cruise that we had, because we only had one date set because it's inaugural cruise season, we had one day, within 48 hours, the cruise had sold out. Wow, we thought we have to do some replanning here. So keeping within the confines of the calendar and looking at delivery date, etc., we came up with 2 additional dates. Within a couple of weeks, those 2 additional dates had also sold out for this itinerary, America's Great River. As a result of that, and the demand and how many emails I've received personally and passed on, we actually went ahead and opened up 2023. This is what I was touching on at the beginning of the presentation while we're waiting for folks to join us. We've gone ahead and opened up 2023 with the 4 dates for this itinerary. And again, with extreme popularity. The other 3 itineraries, America's Heartland, that's the other 8-day itinerary we're going to be doing in the summer months up in the northern reaches. Again, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And then that's going to be sailing through the summer months, mid-July to mid-September, as I alluded to. So those 3 8-day itineraries, America's Heartland, Heart Delta, and Southern Celebration, we are going to be fine for those for the inaugural season. But going into 2023, we've opened those up as well. So again, it's a wonderful place to be when we're sitting in the beginning of 2020 with, kind of the industry everywhere about us, just, here we are opening up 2023. So, we're very excited to be able to do that. That kind of covers just the details of the overview of the product and the branding itself. I just did want to bring attention to just a couple of things. Currently, living in this world that we are living in right now, and ever changing, and different countries setting their regulations and slowly opening up, and us having to rely on other countries to open up, and borders, and it's 14. I mean, we'll probably discuss this in a little bit more in detail here, and quarantines and such. We understand that. And as a result of that, we did start a couple of months back. We started with a risk-free guarantee, basically, and we've extended that now through the end of June. If you make a reservation through the end of June, you fall within the risk-free guarantee. That will allow you, if you do not feel comfortable at any stage, and Viking has not actually gone ahead and suspended the cruise that you're going to be on, and you just don't feel right, and you are then able to make a change to your itinerary and take your monies and your funds, transfer it to a new cruise date that would be within 24 months of your original cruise date as well, and without penalty. And just
Aaron, so just to put this in perspective, Viking is running this risk-free guarantee in the same way you would normally run a promotion. Basically, any booking that is made and deposited between now and June 30th is going to be eligible for this risk-free guarantee. But anybody that makes a booking, say, in July, unless the same deal is extended, won't be eligible for this, right?
You are quite correct. Yes, indeed. Again, had I thought we were going to extend this into June, it was kind of questionable. May, yes. June, it was maybe July. The way things are going, and we start to see things probably opening up. It's up in the air now whether July will offer this opportunity, but eventually there will come a cutoff where you'll fall within the regular penalties that are set, and there's $100 deposits that's non-refundable up until the 120-day penalties fee. In this particular case, there will be no penalties up until 24 hours before your departure date. So,
right. And then if you do need to cancel for basically, for any reason that you want, you'll get 100% future cruise credit for that sailing.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Good. Kind of a put your mind at ease kind of.
Yeah, well, I think as we've spoken with many of our clients, one of the most relevant and most common questions is, I have uncertainty, right? I mean, obviously, we just went through something that we've never been through before, and people do want to travel, but people want to make sure that whatever they're investing in travel is protected, and they don't want to be in a position where, they're booking something that they're not going to be. You might not know 100% whether or not you're going to be comfortable sailing on a particular date. So the good thing about this option is that it allows you to basically make your decision, lock in your cabin, lock in your deal, whatever, and then you can literally wake up 24 hours before your cruise and say, do I feel comfortable or not? Yes. Okay, I go. No. Okay, I'll change it.
Yep, absolutely right. It is most definitely peace of mind, and we've had great feedback regarding this, from folks saying we are most definitely taking in the interest of our guests. Everything else we'll discuss, of course, but this just is a mindset, and I don't know if it will extend then into July. So, again, I'm not kicking tires. I'm not a salesman. I'm just wanting to say that there's a possibility that take advantage of this by June 30th. In addition, and I know, Carlos, you're very kind when it comes to taking care of your guests and your clients, and rewarding with amenities and such as well. And something that you and I, and something I've got to provide there was currently up until June 30th as well. And so we got 2 weeks left of this month. Shipboard credits up to $750 per stay room, and that's across river, that's across ocean, and that's across expedition and Mississippi. Those shipboard credits do vary from length of cruise, and also then broken out into the categories as well. So if you're looking at booking one of the higher categories on the longer 15+ day cruises, you're looking then at, up to $750 shipboard credit.
Yeah, I wanna talk about that real quick, because Viking is extremely strict when it comes to the amount of onboard credit that we can provide to our clients. For any particular sailing, it's based on how many dates. I'm sorry, how many nights you're sailing, and they're extremely strict. Like, any agency that is working outside those parameters is seriously going to get in trouble with Viking. So this is a great opportunity that Luxury Cruise Connections and Viking are working together on this particular promotion. Some of our clients have already received it. Some of the people that are going to be hopefully making your reservations very soon are going to have an opportunity to do so and receive this as well. And Darren, are we ready to start opening up mics for people? People are eager to start making some questions.
Yeah, if you got any email questions or something,
we're going to unmute all of our guests, and we're going to allow for some questions over mic. I will read some of the other questions. I want you guys to know that all of those questions that you've entered in the chat box, we have them, and we will go through each one of them. Okay, so feel assured that we're going to make sure that we're going to go through all of them.
Yeah,
okay.
If there are questions I do not have the answer for right now, I will most definitely research them, and I'll be getting them back to Carlos and the team at Luxury Cruise.
So Denise is going to open up the mics right now.
Great. So I allowed everyone to unmute themselves if they want to.
So I know Michael K wanted to go ahead, Mike. I think you are. I think you're on.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for all the information. Very informative, and appreciate it. Enjoyed it. So we had a phenomenal deal going to Paris and Normandy this July, and obviously with COVID, we canceled it. And they had a Thanksgiving special where we got free air, and I negotiated silver spirits, and it was an unbelievable deal.
Yeah.
I don't want a better deal. I just want the same deal.
Okay.
Am I going to be able to have you guys match it? Because I still have the itinerary. I still have all the charges and everything, in email or whatever. Are you guys going to work with us to be able to match that?
Yeah, for the most part, there've been occasions where definitely we've been able to bring in some of those promotions. It's so vague, Mike, because we have so many promotion offers at that time. For the most part, I've been quite successful in getting promotions and savings and maybe certificates you've had in the past being honored. It would just need for us to see and look what exactly those promotions and offers were, that they are still available for next year too.
Yeah, I have it all. It all.
Yeah. So the best way to go about that, Michael, I'm going to have one of our team members here at Luxury Cruise Connections reach out to you privately, and if you can take a look at that, we will be very much happy to help you navigate through it. And as Darren was saying, our relationship is very strong and very unique, and so if there's anything that Darren is able to do even outside of the normal policy, he'll make it happen for us.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
I believe we have more people that want to ask questions over the microphone. Michael Lemming as well. Michael,
yes. I have a couple of issues. One is we were in Thailand for 4 months, and then we had to come home early because of the virus, and we got the last flight out of Thailand. And then we've been locked down in America. We're 71. We've been locked down in America pretty much. We're northern liberals, so we've been locked down with masks when we go out at all, but we've been locked down. And so my wife is very concerned, and as my kids are, about should we be able to go this September? And I know you haven't probably made we were going to go on the Basel to, we booked 2 cruises, Basel to Amsterdam, and then from Bergen to Barcelona. And then the next year we booked 2 cruises. We had wonderful experience last year. And so we booked, we paid for everything. And, you know, our money's sitting over there with Viking. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, if let's say we decided, you know, my friend is a biologist and he cruises with Viking. He says, you know, to be honest with you, a lot of the cruise ships are basically floating petri dishes. And he said, you know, that's, well, you know, what we see is on the news, and when we can't land in America and a lot of other issues. So, no, anyway, so of course we're all uptight. So they said, well, you could, you know, if they cancel, then you can, you know, you get a refund or you get 125% credit towards another thing. Well, we're already out 2 years. And I want to know, you know, like, what do we do? I mean, we paid for everything. We're out 2 years. I don't, you know, will I even be alive in 2022? Only God knows that, you know. And so, what am I to do? You know, and how am I going to convince my wife that, you know, it's going to be safe?
Well, we all know that convincing your wife's the most difficult thing, right? But in all honesty, Mike, it is. I mean, we obviously have had to handle this as we've gone. It's been a moving target for us all, right? We were very, very fortunate, Viking, that no reports whatsoever prior to this. You are quite correct that, you know, unfortunately, what we're seeing in the news and the negativity that was surrounded it, you know, for a matter of a couple of ships, matter of a few hundred people, you know, the entire industry of cruising was painted with the same brush, and that's quite not fair. We are obviously at this moment in time, every single employee of Viking is still an employee of Viking. What the employees are doing on board right now, they have been working and have been working since March on new procedures, on new policies. We are quite fortunate in Viking on 2 elements. Number one, and we touched on the presentation, obviously, as you have said with us, is the size of our vessels, which obviously we're not entering into the realms of 300, you know, 3,500, 5,000 of your closest friends. Number two, that our vessels are, particularly if we look at the ocean ships, are brand new designs. Up to the new condition and new regulation. Our Viking Longships are taken away each and every single year during the winter months and refitted and refurbished, and whatever has to take place to those vessels is going to be taking place. We, at this moment in time, we had our company call on Monday. We are probably going to be ready at the end of June, probably the second week of July, to actually come up public with what all the enhancements are going to be, what the regulations are going to be, the requirements are going to be. I know we're working with, you know, implementing different programs right now. Protocols. Introduction of new equipment on board. We'd already taken upon ourselves when the COVID started that we were actually taking temperatures of guests coming back onto the ship already. So these are things that were already in place, and we've only enhanced those. What we don't have right now, are these 100% details. Now, there's details, as I alluded to. The information is that we're getting on Monday was we should be ready around about the second week of July to paint that picture. What is it going to look like? What's going to be required? How, you know, buffets are going to go away. But, you know, some cruise lines have buffets. We're not doing buffets, and that kind of, oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, if you're not doing buffets, then what are you doing? You know, and so all these things are being invested in heavily, both in time, both in money, both in manpower, and it's just a matter of time for us to say, okay, the time is right. We'd rather take our time with this and do it right, and come out maybe a couple of weeks later than others and still say, but this is what we're doing, and not be helpful.
I want to also point something out to Michael's question. Anybody that booked any date prior to June 30th, even before the risk-free has the risk-free guarantee.
Correct.
And what's important to highlight is that one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, keep me real here, Darren, but one of the things that Viking is doing is, if for whatever reason you're not able to use your future cruise credit, then you can get a full refund at any time. Is that correct? For 100% of what you paid.
There's a couple of instances. So if Viking suspends the cruise, now Michael, I know you said September, so obviously September, currently we are suspended up until end of August. September is under the microscope, is what we are reviewing right now. September cruises will be the next in line, should we have to suspend. So in that particular case, if Viking suspends September cruising, you will then be given the option for a full cash back or 125% future cruise voucher, what we call a platinum cruise voucher. And those platinum cruise vouchers, after 2 years, then have monetary value to them. So if you haven't taken that within 2 years, you have the opportunity to get your monies back after that 2-year period.
But if the client cancels taking advantage of the risk-free guarantee offer, and they have a 100% future cruise credit, because let's say Michael decided 2 days prior to his trip in September not to go, then he's also able, he has up to 24 months to use it from the date of the original booking, of the original sailing date. And if he does not use it for whatever reason, if he cannot use it for whatever reason after 24 months, he'd be eligible for a refund. Is that correct?
That is not with the risk-free guarantee bookings.
Okay.
No, that it has to be used. It has to be used. And I kind of feel for Michael there in that particular case, because it's a timing issue, because he, as he alluded to, he's already committed to and already made future bookings back into 2022, I think Michael had mentioned September, or not September, but the year of 2022 as well. So, you know, in that particular case, the best thing that could happen would be, best case scenario for Michael, not for the company,
is they cancel the September one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But we'll see. I mean, there is a possibility for that to happen. So what I always like to say is, whatever it is, just wait till last minute to make any decisions. Don't make any decisions.
And I'm sure it's the question of many on the call today. You know, we just wish we could have that. And I think we will definitely be putting this out in a timely manner. So if we look at making this announcement, say the second week of July, as we've been led to believe, you know, that's still giving you plenty of time up until that September 1st date, when we are currently scheduled to restart Operation September 1st, as it is right now. So that's still giving us a period.
And since we're talking about future cruise credit, there's one quick question that I wanted to address about that. FCCs, or future cruise credits, are transferable with Viking.
Transferable.
Good. So there's always that option, right? So hopefully that'll make people feel even more.
Not to give anybody ideas, but we have found some on eBay.
I don't want to do that. I want to take it. But so the risk-free for me, is I can cancel up to 24 hours before the time, and there's no charge about the airline because I paid for everything.
Right.
And
correct.
And then I cancel. Let's say I cancel.
Yeah.
And it's just too early for us. And then we could post it and say, okay, we want to do that in 2022. We'll just move everything over to 2022, since we already have booked and paid for 2021.
Yes.
So as soon as I can take another trip would be that.
Yeah.
You'd be then looking at doing a 2022 trip, Michael. Correct. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to read some questions from the chat. Let's see. We have okay. One thing that I want to address. There were some questions at the beginning of the conversation about the offer for joining. So the offer for joining, just to clarify, was $300, and there's $300 onboard credit that you can use for basically virtually anything that you want onboard the ship. And those $300 are per cabin. They're basically There's only some very small restrictions, which is again based on the maximum that Viking would allow us to give as onboard credit on a sailing, but it's very much applicable for, in many ways. The only reason why it wouldn't be compatible with any other promotion if it's not if it's above the maximum. But when you're ready to redeem it, ask your advisor at Luxury Cruise Connections, and we'll let you know. But you'll find that you can basically apply virtually anytime.
That $300 is because we went to the thing today. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, and hopefully everybody will take advantage of it. So Michael was also asking, gratuities are an extra cost. Yes, gratuities are an extra cost. And
$14 per person per day is the best way to work on the reckoning for that.
Correct. And onboard credit given by the agency can be used for gratuities on ocean, not on river. Okay, just to clarify that real quick. Are you phasing out older non-long ships? So then you can answer that. I mean, basically, there's no.
Absolutely. I mean, for the most part now, there were two ships called the Prestige and the Legend. Those were the only two ships operating on the rivers of Europe that were no longer a longship. Those were the first two cruise ships I actually sailed on. So by the time we come back into action in 2021, they will no longer be operating. There were just a couple of ships that we kept along because we've got some new ships coming, which will be replacing those two vessels. What we've done in northern France for Paris, for anybody maybe who's interested in sailing in Paris with us, when we introduced the long ships to northern Paris to the Seine, it was agreed to that we could bring the ships to Paris, and then when we got there, the French authorities said our ships were too long. So we had to dock in Le Pec, about a 20-minute drive out of Paris. Right now, as we would have started this year, the brand new ships are being brought into Paris. Actually, I saw images the other day setting them in. So they're just a little bit shorter, a short long ship. And going into 2021, we will only be cruising those short long ships out of downtown Paris itself. So the other ships that were operating there will be replacing the two older long ships, the two non-long ships that we had in Europe. So they'll go by the by. Obviously, the vessels that we use in Russia, Ukraine, Egypt, Southeast Asia, those are all different ships anyway. Yeah, so if you're sailing with us in Europe now, in 2021 at least, you'll be sailing purely on a Viking longship of some sort.
Good. Paul had some questions about cancellation provisions for 2020 bookings in 2021. Paul, I believe we already covered that, but if you feel that there's some more questions on it, please let us know and we'll address it again. Alan Tenenbaum was asking, why do you stop in Naples rather than Sorrento? Do you have the answer for that? It's an interesting one.
It is. It is. Can you get that one to me, please, Carlos?
I asked that simply because since it's a small ship,
Yes.
normally the big cruise ships go into Naples and the smaller ships go into Sorrento. So I was surprised to see that you go into Naples.
I would answer it. I'm just going to take a wild guess here. So not a guess, but we will definitely find out. Well, one of the challenges, if we can use that word, that we've come across, we're kind of kings of the river. You know, we've built our own docks along the major rivers. We own many of our docks along the rivers. You know, Viking rules the rivers. Being a newish player to ocean cruising, whereby we've had to come up with, behind all these multiple ocean cruise lines that have always been out there, in some parts we have been challenged to secure docking in the more prime spots. That could very well be the case. But at the same time, to your point as well, we are on the lower, we're on the lower count. We still perceive to be a smaller vessel, small ocean ship vessel. And so that actually has given us the advantage in many cases for the Dubrovniks of the Splits of the world, allowing us to get into smaller ports. But I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Carmen Rodriguez has a question about Land of the Midnight Cruise. When, what are the dates, and what is the cost? Carmen, I hear through the internal chat, I believe JC is chatting with you on that. But do you have any information that you can share with the public right now, Darren?
Sure. I mean, pricing wise, not off the top of my head, I'm afraid. It's into the midnight. It's just into the midnight sun, correct?
I think so. Carmen, are you on? Maybe we can get back to that.
Yes, I am. Yes.
There we go. Sorry, Carmen. Good evening. The reason I just wanted to confirm, you said into the midnight sun, correct?
Right. Correct.
Very good. The reason I'm asking is because we have a very similar cruise, which is in search of the Northern Lights, which is very, very similar in itinerary, but that's obviously being held during the winter months, the January, February, March months, whereby we can get actually nothing's guaranteed, but the sighting of the Northern Lights. Once that season has gone by, then we will start to operate then into the midnight sun, into the late April, beginning of summer months. So whereby really those folks do not see a nighttime, and it does continue to be the midnight sun. Optimal months for that would definitely be into the July and August time period. When it's less crowded, obviously, we'll be then into the end of June, into the beginning of September. And normally that's when pricing would dictate that as well. Wonderful itinerary, because you have got the combination of sailing out of Bergen, actually doing the fjords, and then one of those bucket list items so many people want to collect is to go to the North Cape, Honningsvær. And obviously this allows you to enjoy the most northern tip of Norway, and then coming across back down the Northern Sea. And then we get a whole different cultural experience to that as we start coming to the Shetland Isles, into Edinburgh, Scotland, and then finally sailing up the Thames River. And one thing that is unique about Viking, where the small ship really counts for us, is that we don't dock further down the Thames. We are actually able to sail through the barriers, through the Thames barriers, and we dock that itinerary in Greenwich. So we are pretty much downtown London when it comes to that. Another example of us being able to prime dock because of the ships. But yep, so definitely, top of my head, I do apologize. I know you're in good hands if JC's on there already for best pricing available at this moment in time. But those are the prime months to enjoy that itinerary.
Okay, well, is JC going to give me a call or write to me?
Yep, JC is going to very, very much give you a call and write to you.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question from Paul Honorheim. Paul, if you want to come on the mic and explain your question a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hit enter by mistake. This has happened to us a couple times. We booked through Viking Air, and for example, we went from Seattle to Charles de Gaulle, got the transfer to the boat. Coming home, we visited our daughter in Helsinki, so we went to Charles de Gaulle, Helsinki, back through Amsterdam home, and didn't get a transfer from the ship to the Charles de Gaulle. And I mean, it just went away because we didn't go to our U.S. gateway. Don't understand that. It seems like it should, just because we didn't go home, and Viking's not out anything. Why weren't we allowed to take that transfer?
Right. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So you're not flying home on the day of disembarkation. You're still using Viking Air, and you're flying to a third party destination.
Yeah, flew to Helsinki. That's correct. Thank you.
Yeah. We don't handle the reason we don't do that, Paul, is based on a remark that I made earlier. We fly 300,000 passengers a year, and the challenge then becomes adding on and customizing many of those passengers' requests. Just adds to the company that the demand so much more manpower and so much more time to that element. That's why we do go across and we do offer then the opportunity for you to pre-arrange or to arrange your transfer while on board the vessel itself. This is where when we look to our travel partners, for instance, for them to arrange your transfer from ship to airport as well. It's just one of the things we don't include, I'm afraid.
Well, and I have to tell you, I'm a big Viking fan. We've been on a number of trips, and that's probably the only little rub that we've ever found that didn't seem right. But
right.
All it is the onboard maitre d' or whatever you call them.
The program director. Yeah.
It's just putting us on the bus, basically.
And that's, I'm on a public platform right now, and that will be my suggestion sometimes. I always like to say, what we say from our reservations and policies before we cruise, the black and white, when we get on board, it seems to be a whole different world, where some things can be managed and arranged in times.
Yeah, well, they've been real consistent in not allowing it. So I know it's a company policy. And, these kinds of forums give you feedback to maybe reevaluate that policy. Because I know of the 300,000, we're not the only one.
No, and to that end as well, and again, you're a past guest of Viking. We thank you very much for that, and I will tell you that the return forms that you do complete, whether it be the actual physical form now or the one you can do online when you return, are taken extremely seriously. Each ship is tasked in getting the biggest return as possible. And these are just not words that are just you write down and then I'll left and forgotten. So many enhancements, so many changes have come about because of continual, if we're seeing the same remarks on a continual basis, then there's obviously something at fault. Something needs to change, something new has to be implemented. And, thank you for giving your feedback.
Yeah, and thank you for your response. I appreciate it.
It's something that we do take to heart, and we do make changes accordingly. So let's hope maybe it could be the next one.
Yeah, hopefully. But in any case, here we come as Luxury Cruise Connections to try to cover the gap wherever we can. So now we know on your next cruise to make sure that if there is a need for that, we'll find a way to take care of that for you, Paul. Okay. I know you've been doing business with us for some time, so I want to make sure that you feel we can cover that gap whenever we can.
Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a question from Ed Zeman. I know that you're limited in terms of what you can answer here, and you've already given a lot of information, but is there anything else regarding procedures or protocols in terms of what you think is going to happen aboard the ships, prior boarding to the ships? Anything else that you can share with us right now, Darren?
There isn't, Carlos. If there was, I would. I truly would. I'm really not at a, I can't even give you an idea of what we're doing. And then they're doing that for very good reason, very good cause, that they're keeping a tight lid on what we're doing, because we want to ensure, as I say, when we go out and make our announcement, that's what Viking will be doing. And, we hear things about, are you going to cut capacity? Let me talk about something, something in general here, or capacity, because we look spacing and such like that. When we look at that and we hear that comment, we kind of think maybe demand will manage that itself. Is cruising going to be as popular as it was before March? Are our ships going to be as full as they always were prior to March? Maybe the demand and people coming to cruise with us actually limit the amount of people that could be on those vessels. It's going to be, for us as company as well, we've got to consider the fact that, that as you saw, the first 30 minutes of a quick presentation was split between river, ocean, expedition, Mississippi, so we've got all these different elements that we have to be working on, which are different for each experience. Not only do you have to take the ship experience into consideration. Many on the call today may have participated in our pre and post programs. How do we manage those? We have to use, obviously we use very renowned hotels. How are they going to be managing their pre and post? Their hotel operations. How are airlines going to be operating at what capacity?
There's one thing that I want to share with everybody in this call. We've been doing business with Viking for many, many years, and I think one of the most important things to highlight here is that one of the main reasons why I personally believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Darren, that Viking is taking their time, and they've been probably the pioneers in those, cancellations, right? They've been the first ones coming out and canceling itineraries probably before any other cruise line did. And I think that the main reason why they're doing that is, for them, it is a priority to make sure that the experience that all guests have on board is just totally perfect and exceed expectations, right? And I believe that unless they believe that guests are going to have that experience, that Viking experience that they're looking to, for all guests to have, they're just not going to sail. They're just not going to put people on board a ship if they feel that the experience is not going to be up to par. So I guess with this, what I'm trying to say is I personally have full confidence when I say that whatever those protocols and whatever those procedures are when it comes to safety, health, and cleanliness on board, whether it is masks, whether it is, dining, whatever it is, it's going to be very well thought out, just like Viking always does, to make sure that the experience is nothing else but perfect. So I guess what I am trying to say is I want you all to trust that as you go on Viking, and for those that have already been on Viking probably believe what I'm saying, know that whatever those procedures are going to be well thought out to make sure everybody feels comfortable, everybody feels safe, and everybody feels that they're having the typical expected Viking experience. Did I get that right?
I can definitely echo that, and again, we go back to that word meaningful as well. We just don't want to say, we will not rush to do business. I think, and no other cruise line named, I think some of the other cruise lines are just being a little too, too quick to get back cruising again in order to make, it's not what we want to do. We want to be able to echo Carlos's point. We want to ensure that what you're about to embark upon and what you're about to enjoy is as far as we possibly can back to what we always provided as a Viking experience, having a meaningful experience. And what is that going to look like? And again, there's so many elements that come together. We will not rush. We will continue to lose money, as we are. When we start telling 70,000 passengers, you're not cruising this month, and the next month comes, we're telling another 70,000 passengers, you're not cruising next month. Of course, it's hurting us as a company, but we will not rush back for the sake of just making money and getting the business going. As I said, I think it was Michael I was talking to, who's going to be cruising with us in September. September's under the microscope right now. We will have a good feel whether we can actually go in September. Can we provide a Viking experience based on what the rest of the world is going to provide us as an experience?
Yeah, and one more question I have in the chat. Michael McComb is asking, can you use multiple future cruise credits, and can it be applied in one same booking?
Future cruise credits are limited to one certificate per person to the reservation. The whole goal and element behind those future cruise vouchers was really just to take your existing booking that has been canceled, unfortunately, and basically move it to a new reservation in the future. That's really what the essence is behind the future cruise vouchers. So as a result of that, it becomes one per person.
And do we have any more questions? Anybody else wants to unmute yourself and ask any more questions? While you do that, I want to share with all of you, I'm super excited to share with you this picture that you see behind in my background. That's actually our brand new headquarter building. We're actually moving there within the next week, hopefully waiting for the last permits to be approved so that we can move in. Isn't that amazing?
Long time coming.
Long time coming. This thing that you see right here in the picture is actually an aviary. We're going to have macaws and parrots and a whole bunch of birds in that area, which is incredibly beautiful. So yeah, we're super excited to share that with everybody. I want to thank everybody for answering those questions. Happy to know that most of you answered very on the polls that we put out. Most of you answered that. Most of you want to travel in 2021. Many of you want to travel in 2020, which is super exciting. Everybody answered. Nobody said they don't want to travel with Viking, which is great news. Great. And that's great. And actually, many of you that are in this presentation, most of you, big majority of you, have already been on a river cruise before, which is very, very exciting. Let's see. Anybody has any more questions that you want to share? I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. You've been with us for an hour and a half already, so I want to make sure that if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to share. This is the right time to do so. You know, we have Darren from Viking here. It's a unique opportunity. Anything that you want to know?
Yes, this is Carmen Rodriguez calling again, and if Darren can have somebody call me, I'd rather not talk about my issue over the Zoom, because it's a personal issue, and rather than that, if somebody can call me from Viking, I would appreciate it, because there is a concern about my travel for December.
Yeah. So Carmen, actually, JC from our agency is going to reach out, and we'll bridge you with Viking.
Okay, thank you.
With your question. Okay.
Thank you.
If you can, if I believe we have your phone number, if you added it when you registered for the Zoom call. If not, we for sure have your email, and we'll reach out so we can connect over the phone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Darren, what are the current payment terms with Viking?
Good question.
So we got a little bit of a.
What are the current payment terms with Viking?
Current payment terms have remained unchanged.
What does that
mean? Remained unchanged. What does that mean? That's a good one. You know, it always has been that Viking has probably required full payment ahead of time, more so than maybe other cruise lines. That always has been a point of contention since I've started with the company. Why people ask so? Sheer demand. You can ask the folks from Luxury Cruise Connection right now how many times they've attempted to make a reservation, maybe close in or such like that. We do find that the commitment required, holding a stateroom, paying in full, shows full commitment towards that time. And you're vested. You know, you're vested in it that time. Most people then say, look, my vacation for 2021 is paid for. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can set that aside. All I'm waiting for now is my vacation to come about. So currently the deposit requirement will be within the next 2 months. And then final payment will be whatever the current promotion rate would be. We have seen definitely some extension out of the final payment, but as much as that is, we won't be following the suits of other cruise lines where they say final payment within 90 days. 90-day payments result in cancellations, closing cancellations, which then leaves the cruise company in a position to have to sell last-minute space at discounted rate. While it'd be good for the guest and the client, it's not good practice, business practice on our behalf.
Okay, I think that's a fair answer. And yes, I mean, we have tried on behalf of our clients many times to postpone those final payment dates, but here's a reality, and I know this might not sound exactly as we all want to hear, but Viking has an incredible demand, and the reality is when they first came out with people having to make final payments a year ahead in some cases, people continue to book, and people continue to do it, and people continue to pay a year in advance. And so when Viking saw that no less than 3% of their guests had actually real issues with it, then they just kept it on. So what that means is it means that Viking just has a great demand. People that want to travel with Viking are willing to pay sometimes even a year before that final payment. Now, again, this has nothing to do with the cancellation policy. This is just payment. But with that in mind, that continues to be the case, and the demand apparently continues to be such that Viking has not really made many changes when it comes to that. With that said, you know, being the travel agency that we are, and obviously always catering to the most detailed needs of our clients, you know, bring it up, and we'll be happy to bring it up to Darren, and whenever possible, we'll make magic happen. That's for sure. I guess in short, is if there's anybody that can possibly make it happen, it's going to be us, hopefully. Yeah. So what other questions do we have out there? What else do we have out there that we want to ask Darren? Carmen, do me a favor. JC has been trying to get your phone number. If you can just type your phone number in the chat real quick, we'll be happy to call you as soon as we're done.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, if you know, as I said, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We will be sending this, the recording of this video this Zoom call to everybody that attended. And if anybody has any questions whatsoever, okay, I guess I'm going to put my personal email address in the chat box here. Okay, you guys feel free to reach out to me at any time. My team at Luxury Cruise Connections is incredible. I'm extremely proud to say they're probably among the best in the industry. And I rely very much on my team to make our clients happy and to make everybody's travel dreams come true. If you don't currently have a Luxury Cruise Connections advisor that you normally deal with, let me know. I'll be happy to assign you. Anybody that I would choose from our team is going to be amazing. So that's good news. And just know that you can count on us for, you know, to help you navigate through this incredibly, you know, incredible times of uncertainty. I mean, we have certainly have had to navigate through it, and we've become experts at, you know, answering all the questions and resolving any uncertainty that we possibly can resolve for our clients. The one thing's for sure is, you know, somebody said before, I believe it was Michael, who said at one point, you know, the cruise line industry has been called the petri dish of, you know, of this virus. Here's the reality, and this is after speaking about it with many of our cruise line partners. The reality is, for the entire travel industry, the cruise line industry is the only one that is really set up and actually is mandated to report any sort of health incident, right? When you go to hotels, when you travel on planes, they're not required to even keep track of any sort of health issues that happen during your stay or while on board an airplane. Well, cruise lines do. And what's even most important is that cruise lines are actually look under a microscope by the CDC, FDA, every single entity out there to make sure that the health procedures that are kept on board all those ships are nothing but perfect. And so, look, I just came back. I just went over the weekend with my family to JW Marriott and here in Florida in Marco Island. And I came back, and my experience is obviously travel is definitely back. I mean, for sure, the hotel was absolutely packed, which was incredible. But what was most interesting is for as much as the hotel is trying to keep everything super clean and everything according to the recommendations of the CDC, I can absolutely see how cruise line industry is going to take that to a completely different level. Not only because they know that their guests are going to demand it, but because it's the only industry within the entire industry that actually requires it by law, right? And you're going to see those procedures to be, I would expect, to everybody's satisfaction. So I want to address Tony's question. Booked with Viking directly, can I transfer to LCC? The answer is most of the times yes, especially if you're booked, if we're within 30 days of the time that you booked it. If it's within 30 days, the answer is 100% yes. If we're outside of 30 days, what's that?
60 days, 60.
I'm sorry, did I say 30? I meant 60. 60 days of the date that you booked it. And if you're outside of those 60 days, the answer is sometimes. So I definitely want to talk about it. Let us know. Somebody from our team will reach out to you for sure. And we'll look at your case specifically and we can transfer it. We'll be very much happy to service you and take care of you. I believe Jazz Santana from our team is already talking to you about it. So we will be happy to look into it for you, okay? And that goes same for anybody if you do have. So the reason why Viking does this, just so you guys know, and the way we our relationship works is we actually get a commission from Viking for anything that we book, anything that we service. And so what happens is if somebody is booked with Viking within 60 days, they allow us to do so. What I always like to say and how I always like to explain it is Viking relies on the travel agency community heavily, as much as every other cruise line does, right? But the vast majority of the percentage of people that book a Viking cruise book through a travel agency like us, and they rely heavily on us to service those guests and to keep that service level to the highest standards. So they do count on us to help them service people. That's why they're very much happy to transfer those reservations over to us so that we can be that extra pair of hands and that extra level of service so that Viking guests have a good experience from the time they book to the time to come back. Right? Did I get that right, Darren?
You did indeed, 100%.
So yeah, absolutely. And what happens is we do, because of our relationship through Virtuoso and our relationship with Viking, we are able to offer additional amenities and additional onboard credits and additional discounts in many cases that Viking won't be able to offer directly. Darren, keep me real here.
Yep. As far as discounting is concerned, that would depend. You may have an exclusive offer promotion.
Exactly. And so we have certificates. We have certificates that allow us to actually provide additional discounts that are not eligible to be had directly with Viking in many cases. And so, correct. And so, and because of our relationship with Virtuoso, there's going to be exclusive onboard credits on select sailings. And there's going to be exclusive promotions that usually will only be available through us based on our partnership with Viking. So as Darren was saying at the beginning of the conversation, when you're booking through an agency like Luxury Cruise Connections, you are booking directly with Viking. It's just you have this extra layer of service and relationship that you can count on throughout this entire process. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Look, we're always available to answer anybody's questions. You can email us, you can call us. I gave everybody my direct contact information in the chat. You know, I do manage the company and I do have a lot going on, but I'm always going to reply to every single one of your emails, 100% of them. Okay? Because that's just the way our culture is. We are all about service and we're all about relationships. So feel free to reach out. Feel free to let us know how we're doing. We always like to hold ourselves accountable to the highest standards of service. So please help us hold ourselves accountable. And I want to wish everybody a great evening. And I want to thank everybody for participating and joining us in this evening. It's been incredible. It's been fun. We always enjoy seeing many of your faces and your names. You know, on the Zoom calls, we truly enjoy it because it's about these connections with our clients that make us who we are. And we look forward to the next one and look forward to helping you plan your next cruise and just being here for you for any questions that you might have.
Thanks to everybody from my side too. Thank you for everything you do for us, and thank you to everybody taking up their time and joining us this evening. Thank you.
Absolutely. And me and the LCC team are going to stay on this Zoom call for a few more minutes as people start logging off, so that we can, in case anybody has any more questions, you know, we'll be happy to answer. We'll be happy to answer. And yeah, thank you very much for joining. Did you guys have fun? Did you guys enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Darren, thank you, and thank you very much.
You needed everybody. Thank you so much. Reach out if there's something that you still need answers on, and I will get that. So far, I've got Nice and Santorini. I'll get that for you guys too.
Naples or Sorrento, my friend.
No, no, Sorrento. Santorini. Listen to me. Time for a cocktail.
Time for a cocktail, exactly.
Got it. Thank you, do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much indeed. Have a good night.
Thank you. And thank you, Carol, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bob, Carolyn, just Tony, Michael, Cheryl, Alan, Steve, and Sandy. David, thank you very much. Helen, thank you very much for joining. Elizabeth, very much enjoyed seeing you all here, and you know, happy to be here for you for any question you might ever have about Viking or any cruise line. We are a full-fledged travel agency, and we have relationships with all of them. And we're very grateful for today's opportunity to talk with Darren. Darren is a very, very busy guy, handles a huge territory. So we're very happy to have had the opportunity to chat with him and ask him all these questions. And who likes our new building? Who likes our new headquarters? Nice? Yeah? Awesome. Yeah, we worked very hard. It's been a 4-year project. And we've been saying that we're going to move in next week for the last 2 months. But hopefully when we are in there, we're going to take some video and share it with everybody, because it is most definitely a stunning building. I mean, you know, our company is, we're actually a, not only a luxury cruise agency, but we have a corporate travel agency. We have a private jet charter company. We actually own a fleet of our own jets that we charter. We have a luxury hotel wholesaler and a luxury hotel retail online company as well. So we have a lot going on, and thankfully we've been very happy to be growing a lot, and that's why we had to build this new building. I think Steve had a question.
Where are you located?
Good question. Good question. We're located in North Miami Beach, so we are about I'm going to say 2 blocks away from Aventura Mall. So if you've ever been down here to Miami and Aventura Mall, we're about 3 blocks away from Aventura Mall. And our building is in Miami Gardens Drive, which is a part of North Miami Beach.
Well, we're in Las Vegas.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Okay.
A little bit far away from your location.
That's okay. That's okay. If you're ever down here in Miami, if you want to enjoy some, you know, our beautiful beaches, you know, feel free to stop by. We are going to actually have hopefully a lunch event of our building at one point. We're going to be inviting everybody, every one of our clients to want to come. I know that not many of you live here in Miami, but hopefully when, you know, yeah, we're going to be hosting. One of the ideas that we have at one point when things get back to normal, I want to hear your opinion. We want to do like traveling cruise nights, and we want to go and actually like rent a space somewhere, let's say in Las Vegas, and invite all of our clients to live in Las Vegas and to have just like a cocktail night. And what would you feel about that? Do you like it? Would you go?
Yeah,
sure.
You can rent our house.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, no, that'd be a great idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people be interested. I've actually did a presentation for Viking at a cruise 101 class that was for seniors, because every time somebody would talk about the different lines, I would raise my hand and say, yeah, but on Viking it's included. Yeah, but on Viking it's included. So they thought either I was a travel agent or a Viking rep. So I did one about the first one we took, which was a river cruise, and it was really well received. And so if you guys would come for something like that, you know, if you're here, I can get a lot of people that would probably come.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
No, absolutely. And since we have a little bit of a smaller team going on here, and I would love feedback. I mean, we love feedback from our clients. Are you guys receiving our emails constantly? What do you guys? Do you guys like them? Are they, you know, inspiring enough? Any feedback you guys want to provide in terms of our marketing? We have our marketing manager right here. She'd be happy to know.
No, it's good. Obviously, I mean, you know, we're here. We haven't looked through you before, but I think we will definitely be talking to you people because we are cruising, especially with Viking. So, be interesting. Thank you.
Good. Absolutely.
What did we have trips planned this year?
Oh, we had the City of Lights tour or cruise set for November, but it was one of those things where they were asking for the money right when this whole thing, you know, broke up. So we thought, no, I think we'll cancel it and see where this goes. So we're interested in rebooking that one, and also the Midnight Sun. Those are the two that we're really interested in.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Supposed to be in Scotland for a wedding at the moment. And we had that all booked, and we had to cancel because everything's closed in UK.
Yeah.
Money back from the airlines and the hotels and everything.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I want everybody to be able to count on us for anything that has to do with travel. So our brand is Luxury Cruise Connections, and obviously our team Luxury Cruise Connections focuses on cruises, but our organization is extremely strong in every aspect of travel. And the Viking relationship goes beyond cruises. For example, anybody that is booking a hotel through us, especially, well, I'm going to say specifically any Virtuoso hotel, 5-star hotel, there's more than 1,200 hotels around the world that are part of this program, would automatically get free breakfast, an upgrade, and about $100 hotel credit that you normally wouldn't get.
Wow, great, good to know.
Yeah, so absolutely, anybody, and same thing with. So when it comes to airfare, for example, Viking has a very strong airfare and very strong promotions like free air and stuff like that. So sometimes when it comes to Viking cruises specifically, we have to make sure that it makes sense. But we have special negotiated airfare for people that are going on leisure specifically, and or corporate trips too, upgrade promotions that are really unique. So if anybody that's listening, count on us for anything that has to do with anything that has to do with travel. We're for sure.
The problem we have being on the West Coast, it's an 11-hour flight just to get to Europe. That's the killer.
That is correct. That is correct. We're waiting. We're hoping for. So one other cool thing about our company is we're one of the very few accredited space agencies for Virgin Galactic.
Oh, okay.
So we're hoping that. So we're hoping that very soon Virgin Galactic comes up with some sort of inner space flights to the other side of the world that might make it faster. We'll let you know. That's going to run for about $200,000, but we'll let you know.
Okay, I have a question for you real quick. Part of our problem with Viking sometimes is that we do Viking Air Plus or whatever it is, we pay the most, and we want to fly business class, but we like nonstop if we can get it because it's such a long flight from here. So are you good at dealing with them at getting the flights that we want?
Yeah, absolutely. So one very unique thing about our company is not only will you be dealing with your cruise advisor that's going to take care of the cruise, but we have an entire concierge team that all they do is take care of these little details after the booking's done and work on this detail. So one of the things that we do sometimes when the cruise line itself gets too complicated is we'll take out the cruise, the air credit, and then price in our own air, which we can customize however we want.
That's super. What I want to hear. Thanks.
Yeah. The only caveat with that, and I'll be upfront with this, is the only reason why I would normally encourage people right now to take cruise line air is because of the flexibility of the cancellation policy that they have right now. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, sometimes it does make a lot of sense to book one of our negotiated business class airfare.
Yeah. How do you feel about the the insurance policies? Do you use your own or do you use theirs? Or
really good question. We are diehard believers of third-party insurance, and the reason why is it just gives people a lot more flexibility. For example, when you book third-party insurance, for example, Travel Guard, which is one of our favorite ones, if you for whatever reason decide that you no longer want to go on this cruise, but you want to go on this different cruise, right? Even let's say you're changing cruise lines. We can take the third-party insurance and move it from one cruise line to another. When you don't have the flexibility, if you book the insurance directly with the cruise line, if you're canceling that, that's gone. Insurance policies are not refundable. So that's one. Number two is the coverage when it comes to airfare and everything outside of the trip with third-party insurance is much greater. So, example. Let me see. Let's say you are booking airfare separate from the ship, right? So then third-party insurance would actually cover third-party air and the cruise, as opposed to when you're not, if you book cruise line insurance and you're booking third-party air, then you can't cover the air. The third-party insurance is going to have extra coverage and extra stuff like, you're gonna get paid if the flight is late more than X amount of time. You have coverage for lost baggage. You have coverage for missed connections. You have coverage for so many things that are outside of the actual cruise. Especially many of our clients want to do pre or post that are not necessarily directly related to the cruise. You might want to stay 3 nights somewhere and you don't want to take the cruise line post. And so in that case, you most definitely want to take third-party insurance because you can cover everything, your air, your post, your pre, your cruise. So that's important to know. You know, cruise line insurance sometimes will have some pros, which are they have a cancel for any reason provision, which would give you up to 70% of the cruise as a future cruise credit for cancel for any reason. So there's some stuff that, you know, I always like to say every case is very unique and every case is different, but we're most definitely experts at this subject. And whatever we don't know, we bring in the insurance company to answer whatever questions we don't know, but we do know a lot. So we'd be happy to answer like specific questions.
That's something we do on our trips because of the jet lag. We always go in like 2 or 3 days before the cruise and stay 2 or 3 days afterwards, do our own stuff.
Exactly. And you want to do your own stuff. So in those cases, for sure, take, you know, third-party insurance. They're sometimes even they're priced better than the cruise line insurance. Rarely is it ever priced higher, but so there's many advantages. Every, you know, case by case scenario, right? But there's definitely many advantages.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. All right, and I am going to say goodbye to everybody. We have a lot going on our end, but we'd be happy to you know, connect with all of you individually for any further questions. Steve and Sandy, we'll connect privately later, so you can connect with one of our advisors. And if anybody has any more questions, email me, call us, email us. We're here for you. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody. Stay safe. Have a good evening.